A deadly exchange between Israel and Lebanon today. A UN peacekeeper dies when the Israeli army shells Lebanon in retaliation to an earlier attack near the Lebanese border. We've got the latest on that coming up. And day one in power, and the new Greek government shows it's ready to stand up to the EU, telling the bloc that proposed additional sanctions against Russia are a bad idea. It's 5 p.m. here in Moscow. My name's Kevin Owen. Thanks for being with RT International. Our top story, a UN peacekeeper has been confirmed killed today in southern Lebanon after Israeli retaliatory strikes. Earlier attacks on an army convoy reportedly killed at least 4 Israeli Defense Force soldiers. Freelance journalist Jordana Miller brought me up to speed on the details.
It began early this afternoon when the Israeli army reported that one of its vehicles came under attack up in the Har Dov region by the Lebanese border. It was an anti-tank missile. Within an hour, the Israeli army said that other posts on the Mount Hermon area were attacked. That prompted Israel to respond with artillery fire into southern Lebanon, which continued on and off. Hezbollah, during that time, then claimed responsibility for this attack. We know that they've been threatening to avenge a strike that they believe Israel carried out about 10 days ago inside Syria that killed 6 senior Hezbollah fighters, including 2 military commanders. So it seems that now there's an outright open kind of conflict going on. Concerns here, of course, that it will escalate.
Well, the IDF also struck Syrian army artillery positions in the northern Golan Heights, too, in retaliation for rocket fire. Let's talk about this latest outbreak of violence with Jonathan Fine. He's a senior researcher at the International Institute for Counterterrorism, joining us now live. Hi there. Was it just a matter of time? This border region particularly has always been volatile, but was it just a matter of time before it kicked off again here?
Well, Kevin, you're definitely right. I would say that since March 2014, Hezbollah, together with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the Pasdaran, and with full accordance with the Syrian army, have been preparing sort of a terrorist missile infrastructure in the northeast part of the Golan Heights. It's important to remember that most of the Golan has been controlled now by the Jabhat al-Nusra, which is the pro-Al-Qaeda group, and only a very small stretch next to the Hermon and Mount Dov Mountain are under Hezbollah and Syrian control, since the Syrians have lost the 2 brigades that were controlling the Golan, the 91st, the 61st and the 90th, that were wiped out by the rebels. Now, from an Israeli point of view, Israel made it very clear to Iran, Hezbollah, and Syria that it will not tolerate any kind of terrorist attacks from the Golan against Israel. It's important to remember that since the Yom Kippur War in October 1973, the Golan was the most quietest border that Israel had since that war. And now, as a result of the civil war raging in Syria and the joint Iranian-Hezbollah activity in the northeast part of the Golan, they've been trying to turn it into sort of an alternative to Lebanon. And Israel won't tolerate any terrorist attacks coming in either from the Golan or from Lebanon.
So the big question
is
now,
where we find ourselves today.
Yeah, the big question now, I guess, is what's going to happen next as far as Israel's concerned. We're hearing Israel's foreign minister saying there should be a retaliation against Hezbollah. I'm quoting here, in a forceful and disproportionate manner to what's already happened. So it could kick off big time, yeah?
Well, you're referring to what Minister Lieberman said now in his visit in Beijing. Look, neither side wants this recent escalation to turn into a general war. It doesn't mean that won't happen, but no side is interested in that. So I suppose that what we might see as an Israeli reprisal, which would be sort of limited and contained, and then, of course, the ball will be tossed into Hezbollah's hand to see what their reaction will be. Israel will not let Hezbollah and Iran turn both Lebanon and Syria into, I would say, a war of attrition front. This is something that Israel will not tolerate. So we'll just have to wait for the next few hours to see how Israel will react. There's a lot of military movements going up to the north. And I don't think we have seen, troops. We haven't seen the end of this yet.
Of course, Jonathan, there's another strand to it as well. A Spanish UN peacekeeper got caught up in this shelling today. He's been killed. Spain, of course, has got about 12,000 strong UN peacekeeping force there. I wonder what the reaction is going to be from Spain.
Well, I suppose, you know, this wasn't a deliberate attack on the UNIFIL peacekeeping force, and when you are in a battle zone, you have to take this in consideration. It's a tragedy, but nobody had any intention of hurting UNIFIL. UNIFIL has been deployed in the area since the Litani operation in 1978, and they're sort of observers. They can't do anything more than that. And, you know, being between Hezbollah on one hand and the IDF on the other hand is not exactly, I would say, the best idea for life insurance policy. So unfortunately, this tragedy happened today, but there was no intention of hurting UNIFIL. Just got caught in the fire.
Thanks for your time. Jonathan Fine, the Senior Researcher at the International